obviously y'all sports being talked about more than it ever was.
It was, but they said they still projected to lose $50 million.
I did crazy. Which I was like, well, hey,
damn, like,
well, why y'all?
They lose $50 million every year.
Yeah, but they said they still projected, like, this is the most time they spoke about them, but they still projected to lose $50 million. Is crazy.
That part I ain't understand.
At this point, I don't know what to do to help y'all.
Yeah, because I'm like, well, damn, her shoe deal and this. I'm like, well, why ain't ESPN and TNT need to take them?
Well, if you in debt for 15 years, just one good year, you still
that's true.
debt.
But you're still down.
Yeah, you're still down. Like that's what that probably really is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I just watched some shit too with Lisa Leslie and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
She was on LeBron's Drink with the Shop or whatever the case is, and she was talking about how the salary should be more should be more even, and then like how basketball players, NBA players should donate to the WNBA and shit like that, like their salaries and shit. I'm like, yo, shorty, you got to make it like everybody else make it. You know what I mean?
I never liked that.
I don't like that. Donating, because I think on some real stuff, because like the NBA owns the WNBA,
right?
So there is a percentage that goes to them. And the NBA already raping the NBA players. They see NBA players is getting money already.
Yeah,
if you're able to pay somebody $50 million, how much you think them owners and all of the league is getting? Like, let's be for real.
What? $75 billion new contract?
You feel me? Like if they were able to pay, they just Jaylen Brown's the highest paid NBA player right now. He's getting 300. Angels won a trip, right?
Yeah.
He's getting paid $300 million over 5 years, right? So that's at least 60 something a mil, right?
Yeah.
60 mil a year. If they got enough to pay you 60 something a mil a year, and then everybody else, the team say, 180 mil between the team.
Shit, the dude on the 12 bench is making at least 10.
How much you think that team is making for real?
Yeah.
That team is making money hand over hand.
Right.
So they can, but like
I never liked that. Like, bro, if y'all get people in the seats and the stands, then you deserve equal.
I think that's where a lot of money come in too.
Yeah.
So if people come to the game, people watching you, then then you'll be able to get that money naturally. But if nobody comes to the game, if you got a arena with 20,000,
right,
and you only filling up 7,500,
right,
what you want people to give you money for?
Right. I'm like, y'all not. And it's not that y'all ain't good enough, which I do. Y'all don't.
For real.
Yeah, y'all don't captivate the audience. That's what it's really all about.
Yeah, it's almost respectfully.
It's always been about that.
Level up your game for real,
right?
Like, or I don't know, shit. If you feel some type of way, sell your own damn tickets.
Right.
Respect it. I say that all due respect.
Nah, respect it, because I think they nice for real. Like,
you can't say because you a teacher and I'm a teacher, we should get paid the same.
No, if you been in the game a little bit longer,
you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah, and especially if I've been in the game for 40 plus years, longer than you, you gonna come out the gate swinging home run.
You know what I'm saying? Like
that just is crazy. Like,
you got a bunt, get on base a little bit.
Yeah, we should all make 100,000. You know what I mean, for doing the same shit. Like, it's crazy. So I mean, that's a hot topic.
There's always been no matter what industry, there's levels to it.
There's always levels to it. There's always levels.
I just don't like. Last thing, I just don't like how they pushing the narrative and they making it a race thing, to be honest with you. And they say it's not race, but it really is. Like, stop playing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It really is, because like, she is nice. She came out of college doing her thing, but there was other white women that came out killing out of college, and there was other black women killing coming out of college. So I just feel like you need to just let her play her game, let her naturally develop, and you know what I mean? If she is who y'all say she is, she gonna cook regardless. She gonna cook regardless. So
you know what I'm saying? Oh, what you think I'm over here nitpicking and shit? You know what I'm saying? But I just like the table to be clean and stuff. You don't got no merch on you, right?
No.
All right. Yo, so it's hot.
Bacon hot, sled ride down my wrist.
I'm gonna just say that first and foremost. So I hope y'all can appreciate the episode today, because like it's 95 degrees outside. Mm-hmm. It feel about 94 in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm saying 100.
Yeah, it's hot.
Yeah.
So if you see us perspiring and shit, sweat marks under the arms and shit.
If you see the little dab on the forehead twice,
just understand. Like
I got it bad. I got long sleeves.
But respectfully, he just came from handling business too. So he came in here suited and booted. I'm like, nigga, I'm hot.
Yeah.
I know you hot.
Y'all got the towels.
Yeah.
one button. Yeah. That's what you got.
It's the only right thing to do today, because like it's crazy out here. So appreciate the knowledge and information that we about to get into. So I'm K.
I'm Chaz,
and we are Culture Content. You know what I'm saying? Our special guest today is my guy TC.
What up?
You already know the vibe. Gang. You know what I'm saying? So this is just a reverse collab that we get into. I'm pretty sure y'all showed us a couple weeks ago on his podcast. He showed love, and that was a phenomenal episode too. You know what I mean? Smooth right through. We had good gems dropped, good information, talked about us. Yeah. But now we here to talk about you.
For the smoke.
You ready for the smoke?
Ready for the
smoke.
All
right, bro. We gonna drop a cannon on you. You know what I mean?
Hey, I stay ready, so I ain't gotta get ready.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, he's ready for all of it. So, on that note, you know what I'm saying? Let's just get into it. Tell us about your, introduce yourself, your business, what you do. And we're just gonna rock and roll from there.
Sounds good. So this is Tyler Coulverson, Financial Literacy with TC. Many of the people out there call me TC. I'm loving it. I'm embracing the name, baby.
TC,
embracing the name.
It got a ring to it.
Yes. So many people know me from my background in banking. Was doing that for about 6 years. Recently, I've made the decision to just be a financial literacy educator. A lot of people in the Black community have been reaching out to me, and I've actually seen success with a lot of contracts that I get from a financial literacy standpoint. Mm-hmm. I'm being brought in for some pillars in the community, some pillar businesses and organizations in the community have brought me in to help educate their organizations, help educate their classes and workshops. And I've been so grateful and appreciative of that, because it lets me know what I'm doing has put me on the right path. I'm passionate about teaching financial literacy to our youth, but not only our youth, but people in the community. So it's only right that I took what I learned from in banking, and I never want to pretend like I know everything, because I certainly don't. But it's put me on a path to be able to give the knowledge that I obtained and continue to obtain, to put it in the ears of others. And, I just turned that into a business, because at this time, I feel like if I can shed light on impacting others and helping them make better financial decisions, especially when I know that I didn't come from having a lot of resources or financial knowledge when I came through, my high school years, my college years, things of that nature. So I just want to do what I do. And then on top of that, I also have, my podcast is doing really well from the standpoint of getting more exposures.
Let's go.
I'm so appreciative of you guys having me on, because, I'm just trying to get my subscribers up, and then having individuals like yourselves on the podcast where we're able to educate and push that narrative forward. It's about having Black representation in all different spaces. So we've been able to do that for the culture. And, it's something I enjoy doing.
What can we say? Say? It's a great name.
Great name.
It's relatable on all types of levels, but keep going.
Yeah, and I'm going to continue to have different guests on. I'm always looking for people in our community who are doing great things, who are successful at either their business or an entrepreneur, or if they have a level of expertise in a certain financial topic. I always want to look for having guests on, so that way we continue to push this narrative and talk about strategies and concepts. I got so fed up of our people in our community looking at other cultures and other races and trying to emulate what they do, but there's two main factors that they don't consider when they're trying to tell us about how to spend our money. They don't take in slavery for 400 years, and they don't take into account that there were literally systems put in place like redlining and other impoverished communities that we had to overcome. So why are we using those people as our barometer and our, for lack of a better word, tutors or mentors when it comes to making money? And it's not to say that the information that they give is inaccurate or false, but it's incomplete. They're not factoring in other hurdles and obstacles that we as a black community have to face. So I just wanted to make sure I have a platform where I can invite people who come from where we come from, whether it's an impoverished community or not, but they have some testimony and a level of experience, and they look like us, so they can relate to the trials and tribulations that we have to face as a culture.
That's your introduction.
That shit. That was fire, yo. Listen. That was me.
Yeah,
that was me.
That took up 5 questions off my list. You know what I'm saying? All in one spiel. Like, that was a hell of an introduction. I ain't gonna lie.
That's a fact.
Damn. I was like, shit. I'm looking at my questions like, I don't know. Just take this off right quick.
Real quick. That's crazy.
I don't mind being repetitive. Let's go.
Nah, we're not gonna be repetitive. But all I have to say, yeah, let's talk about what you did today in itself. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So you said you're a financial literacy coach. Is that correct, right?
That's correct.
So yeah, just explain to the people what today looked like for you.
So today I had a 4-hour workshop with some youth for shout out to the Children's Homeless Village. I will plug them. They do phenomenal things in the community. Specifically, today was about just having people who look like myself in the classroom with it ranged from about 15 to 30 students in each individual classroom. And what I wanted to accomplish with them today was getting them started on the right track of budgeting. So we had a budget form that we went through, and I like to be interactive and very hands-on. I don't like to lecture. If I'm lecturing, I like to make sure that I ask a question and they're reciprocating with a response. Mm-hmm. So what that looks like is I use a Kahoot game. It does 2 things for me. It lets me know what people in the room know and don't know, and it also gives me the analytics that we're looking for. Because at the end of the day, you can get all this information on Google and all these other social media platforms and things of that nature, but it doesn't really mean anything if you get the information and can't apply it. Right. So I tried to make sure that when I'm educating to the students, I'm giving them real world perspective, and then I'm also being very transparent. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times I'm telling them personal information about me that lets them know what that looks like in a real world example. For instance,
that's how you make the connection.
That's how I make the connection.
You
Correct.
And them, because that's a big age. I'm not saying you old, but it's a big age gap as far as just like trying to keep their attention on something that doesn't apply or doesn't affect them right now.
Correct.
But it will affect them later on in the future. So,
correct. And I love that you said that because the age group was 14 to 17. Yeah. So while high school age, and each one of them, and I had them all separately at separate times. So my 14-year-olds, they still got more years. They're not really concerned about their parents pay for everything. 17-year-olds, they got college coming up in a certain date, or they're trying to buy a car, or they're in the midst of they needing to understand what a bank account looks like. So it's really analyzing who's in the room and seeing where their deficiencies are. Because why am I beating someone's head with, you need a bank account, checking account, savings account, when they've already had that when they were at a younger age? Mm-hmm. So that way now we're able to use the information gathered from the game and personalize it to that individual. For those who it applies to, great. And then it gives them an opportunity to ask questions. So now they don't feel lectured. They feel engaged. And now we're having a conversation about money, because money shouldn't be doldrum, this sucks or it's boring. Like it should be.
Money should always excite you.
It should excite you. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, what do we spend a lot of our brain power doing? Yeah, we want to enjoy life, our spiritual aspect, our our health and things of that nature. But get the money. Like, let's just keep it a buck.
Get to the
if your financial situation is clear, where you're able to enjoy life because you're financially stable, that clears your mind to not have to worry about things. So now you can give all your attention to your spiritual needs, your health and wellness, and because if you gotta find where your next meal is coming from, are you really worried about I'm praying
it's healthy or anything like that.
You just trying to get your food fed. So a lot of what we're trying to do is educate, so we have that whole holistic view on wellness. So
I like that you bring the realism factor in it, because as a high school teacher, I try to teach to them about just being real, just be realistic about the money you're making and how you're going to spend it. We had an exercise before talking about how to buy a car.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was like, if your credit is between this range, you're going to be in this range of interest rates and stuff like that. And if you paying at this interest rate, you'll be paying this a month.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But if you got good credit, you'll be in this kind of range. So they was able to understand certain things. So, they was a little bit more, not lenient, but they was a little bit more cautious on, I want to get this Chargers SXT or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to get something a little different. Still nice and snazzy,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Obviously for the exercise purposes, you know what I mean? But I was like, yeah, you probably don't want to get this Hummer.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're going to talk about you driving every single day, you got to go, if you're traveling, 50 miles per way to your job, you probably don't want to get a Hummer because it's going to cost you a lot of money in gas, and your credit probably not really that good. So therefore, at the end of the day, you're going to be spending more money.
Yeah.
Well, not even just the little stuff on the Hummer too. This little thought is just like the tires, oil changes,
regular maintenance.
Regular
maintenance.
And I love that you said that because a lot of times, and this is what I get concerned about as we get into the next couple years when financial literacy will be mandated in the schools.
Mm-hmm.
I'm concerned about, because I pay attention to not only the questions I'm asking, but the answers I'm getting back.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I ask the kids, what type of, if you don't, obviously you're not old enough to drive or you don't have your license yet, but what car do you want? You heard Teslas, Corvettes.
You hear a lot of foreigns. Oh, I like listen.
And the thing about that answer is, similar to what you guys were saying about the maintenance and things of that nature, but it's also about, the next question when they get transparency with me is, they're asking me what kind of car do I drive? And I told them I got a 2002 Nissan Altima. And I don't want to create a space where they feel like I'm holier than thou because I'm the one talking to them. I'm like, I'm nowhere near financially where I want to be as well. Because
for or something like
correct.
That.
So, and I bring that up because the goal is to say, you know what, I'm not looking for you to look at me to be somebody you want to emulate. Like I tell them my resume and what I've done and things of that nature just to give credence to what I'm speaking about. But by no way, shape, or form do I want to create that barrier that I know all or you should listen to what I'm saying because I'm the one saying it.
Right.
It's to basically work on their mindset of what financial literacy means to them because at the end of the day, they're going to have to walk that journey of the level of income that they're going to make, what profession they want to get into. And I encourage them, like, these are things I want you to think about because these will impact how you make your financial decisions. The level of job you go after, the life you say you want, you need to be able to understand what industry or what you need to do with your life to be able to accumulate those things. A Corvette could be $100,000 car.
Easy.
You're not doing that being a garbage man. No disrespect to a garbage man. And again, it's really just about understanding the level of income, and then you can also start getting into investment.
There's a twist to that.
There's a twist to that. Yeah.
Because I think
those garbage men make like 100,000 or more. I ain't gonna lie, they make a bag. But I just wanted to throw that out there. So just to add to what you were saying.
But that nugget is not right out of college. It's about
that takes years.
Yeah, levels, like you said.
Yeah, it takes levels. So
but also, just because they make that 100,000, you don't want to spend $100,000 on the car either.
Right.
But here's the caveat.
Yeah.
What if you invested or you got some money in the stock market and that 100,000, you might have put 20,000 in the stock market. Now you at 1.2.
Correct.
Now you can go get that. But all that comes with time, experience, and just knowing the game.
And then the baseline of that is managing money. And what's the best way? I don't care what level of money you got. It has to be budgeted. Because if you don't know if you don't know where your money is going once you get it, what are we talking about here? You can't really get into investing. You can't really get into a lot of these other things if you can't manage the money you currently are receiving. So all that to say, that's kind of what we strive for when we do these workshops.
People always say they want $1 million, but don't know what to do with $1 million because are you going to spend it just to blow it,
right?
Or are you trying to make that 2, 5, 10 million,
or even have that, like you said, even have that $1 million work ethic.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like you want the $1 million, you want the $10 million, but you got, you know what I'm saying? You got a $50.
You got
work
30K work. You got 30K work ethic.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, come on. So that brings us to this question. You know what I'm saying? You spoke about you was working with the students today on budgeting. Can you tell us or explain why the concept of budgeting is so crucial and how does that help with somebody's financial health?
So I'll correlate it to let's just use some examples: rappers and athletes. They are some of our most influential people in our community and our culture.
True.
But a lot of them aren't created equal. Yeah, they've had a hit or they've made millions doing X, Y, and Z. But how many times do you see their story or their, 30 for 30, for lack of a better word, that they're broke now? because they made either bad deals or they didn't understand their financial situation, or think of some of your favorite athletes who currently are working, regular jobs now because the money they made during their playing career they did not do well with, or their accountant stole their money. Like, just so many examples we have where it doesn't matter that you've made a ton of money if you don't, understand budgeting, and you don't understand how to keep your money that you're actually receiving. What are we actually talking about here? So using that analogy, the goal with the kids was to let them know I'm not really concerned about what you want to do with your life, because I want to encourage you to do whatever you want to do with your life to be successful, or what you feel you're passionate about. But my main thing was to address that mindset of, doesn't matter if you have $1 or $1 billion, you still need to be able to manage that, because at some point in time, the wealthiest people, they may be able to pay somebody to do that for them, or just an average person who makes $50,000-$60,000 a year. Does not really matter. In some way, shape, or form, for them to be successful and have a good financial future, they're doing something, and it all starts with budgeting. So that was really the overall theme for today's students. And then to answer their question directly, the goal was to, once you use that real world analogy, to just give them a structure. Like, technology is, so prevalent in our society today. So I said, hey, you can do paper and pencil, because that's what we did. Because to me, if you write it down, it probably resonates a little bit more than using some type of app or technology. And a lot of them, because and I understand the audience that I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with 14, 17-year-olds. They use their phones. So that's another reason why I have the Coug game, because I know they're going to be on the phone anyway in my workshop. So it's really just letting them know, fine, if you're going to use this expensive tool that you have, use it for more than just texting and talking. Use it to make money, or use it to manage your money. Use it in ways that are beneficial and better for your life, as opposed to just the basic essentials that it provides. So.
When you talk about budgeting, one of the NBA players I think about the most, he was one of my favorite players in the 2000s, Antoine Walker.
Yeah.
Antoine Walker, I think he had maybe a 16, 17-year career in the NBA.
Yep.
Known as A Bug. He used to do the shimmy when he hit the shot, right?
Right.
This dude, they said he made about $230 million, give or take, over his NBA career. Yep. And he was broke at a point. I think he's doing a little bit better now. He's like an analyst and doing different things. But he made a lot of bad investment deals. Like he trusted people with his money. Like you said, you trusted the wrong people. You trusted some financial advisors, some accountants, and they ran off with the money.
Yep.
And he was stuck with the bill. Yep. He invested in certain real estate things in Chicago because he was from Chi-Town.
Right.
And the people that he had running it, he obviously put the money in, but he had people overseeing it, and he obviously didn't check on them the way he was supposed to. They ran his property down to the ground, and he had so many lawsuits from the tenants, and that wiped him out too. Yep. So between all of that, he just didn't do what he was supposed to do. So budgeting and staying on top of stuff, is essential. So I get what you're saying.
And then on top of that, kind of going back to what you just said, these are things, obviously some people hit a level of wealth where they rather just pay somebody to do it for them, but then they run into that. But if, again, I don't want to pretend that I'm worth $1 million, but at the end of the day, even if there is a certain level of wealth that I would ever accumulate, I will never get so wealthy that I feel like I shouldn't be involved in where my money is. I still want to be hands-on. Absolutely. So again, even though I'm speaking to people who aren't on that level, is 14, 17-year-olds, it's really just creating a mindset. I'm not necessarily trying to predict their future or, discourage them or do anything like that. I'm really just trying to give them, I don't care what you do, this will be impactful for you later on. Understanding that, mom and dad take care of everything right now for you, but at some point that won't be the case. Right. The better knowledge and the more information you have right now, you are ahead of the game when you start actually having to make these decisions. And some of them, gratefully enough, they were already accepting of it. And then let's be honest, we're dealing with kids, so some of them are, they too busy worried about what Keisha is talking about next day after they, see each other when they get outside and stuff like that. So there's a lot of that going on. So what I try to do is, I'm motivated by money, and I'm sure they are as well. So a lot of times I always incentivize my workshop so that way, those who are really getting the information, they feel like they're getting something out of it. Because sometimes you got to battle with distractions and kids, talking and, so I understand that. But the ones that are actually paying attention and making an effort, I like to reward those ones. So I usually start off with a Kahoot game. The winner of the top podium platform, I give them a nice little gift card, and we keep it moving in there. They're always appreciative of that fact. So I think I'm going to continue to do that.
What's up, y'all?
So what do you say to those kids that, when you said that they talked about like their dream cars, right? The Ferraris and Bentleys and all that other good stuff, right?
Yeah.
How do you explain to them what the better investment is? Getting your dream car or purchasing an asset? Not just, it could be real estate, whatever the case is, you know what I mean? But how do you convince them that you shouldn't be saving up for a car? You should be saving up for an asset that can produce you enough money to pay for that car where you don't have to come out of pocket? Or is there another scenario that works?
So for me, my approach is not to really discourage them from whatever they want. Because I'm someone, I like people being financially and motivated, driven by financial goals. So if that's what, they say they want, cool. My only caveat is, are you really considering how you're realistically going to get that? Because if they tell me they want to be an art teacher, and again, my goal is not to disparage. It's to let's look at the metrics and the data that's out there. You're going to be making, this isn't something I'm making up. You can Google an art teacher salary and it tells you. Now, whether that's, the same for art teachers who's been doing it 50 years versus one for 1 year, that's a debate to be had. But at the end of the day, you have to be realistic and you have to know your own disciplines or lack thereof. So they can say whatever they want to me. I'm really not focused on that, to answer your question. It's really just, all right, so what I do then is say, you know what, maybe you should talk to your parents or a financial advisor, because realistically what you're saying, maybe there's some other ways you can go about it. Because for all I know, they probably have a trust fund that they're about to get. You know what I mean? So I really don't try to discourage any of their financial goals or dreams, because, hell, I got financial goals that seem a little outlandish. But it's really just to say, you know what, why aren't you a millionaire? Because one of my boys, shout out to Brandon Rice, he taught me this. You're not a millionaire because you're not doing $1 million transactions. You're not doing $1 million things. So I say all that to say, it's really less about what they want and more or less about how realistic or how disciplined or how strategic are they're being. And if they're not being strategic at all about the things they say they want, who can we put them in front of so now that they can actually start taking steps to get, there's a lot of cars that I want that I'm nowhere near close to getting because I'm not at that place yet. So I really just try to shift the mindset, not necessarily say, oh, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that. Because I feel like those type of conversations should be had more on a one-to-one basis and not necessarily embarrassing, somebody in a group setting.
Yeah. I don't think you should embarrass them. But hypothetically, if you want a Mercedes AMG,
I had a few of those today.
150,000, 180K.
Yeah.
You gotta make twice as much as that. Realistically,
the
problem situation is if you're making 2-3 times that, then you can't afford that car. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
And I do keep it, and I do get what you're saying because I do be transparent. I guess is really so. I kind of guess if I'm being honest, I match energies. So if it's a student who I get, they ask what it feels like to be an authentic, very low maintenance question, then I give them that same reply with the same energy. Now, I'll give you another example. My last class, I had a few students who were a little rambunctious. He gonna ask me about, do I got a black card? And obviously, I'm like, I know what that is, but I'm like, I'll be honest with you, I don't. But I would tell you this: who do you know in your community that has a black card? Because right now, that what you're asking me tells me you live vicariously through people or you see on social media. Because you know what a black card is, but you can't tell me who you know who has a black card.
Let alone what the requirements are.
I was right. What did they do to obtain that black card?
Right. So I'm like,
smart.
Yeah, exactly. So
nothing about it.
Yeah. So that's where I match energy. So along to your point, so I really just when I get asked questions, I try to.
What did you say to that?
What I just said? Yeah. I'm like, no, I personally don't have a black card, but at the end of the day, do you know anybody who has a black card?
And did he tell you? Did you know anybody?
He didn't know anybody. And then I try not to get in the back and forth with students either.
True,
so
yeah.
I really just try to remember why I'm there, the mission. There's 7-8 different kids who genuinely are enjoying the information, and I never try to let 1 or 2 students dictate from them getting this vibe. Because eventually life is going to teach you better than I can. Right. Right.
Listen, I mean, as a teacher, like you want to do that. Like you want to come with. Oh yeah, but you don't know. But you gotta be very careful. And sometimes, you doing these classes, right? So it's a little different. But like when I teach on a day-to-day basis, sometimes that smoke comes out. Man. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean to all the time. I love my students. You know what I'm saying? They know I always want the best for them.
Right.
But don't come at me, son.
Yeah.
You know that. You know what I'm saying? And don't come at me and then come for me to be like, yo, can you help me with this?
Right.
What you talking about?
Bro, you gotta live a little bit.
Bro, the whole experiences gave me much more respect for teachers, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, for real, it's hard out here.
Yeah.
But I got a follow-up question to that.
Yeah.
What do you say to the parents of these kids that's kicking them out at 18 and trying to get them to figure it out and do it on your own? And we already know that these classes are not, the financial literacy classes are not in school at this very moment.
Right.
So they're basically going into the world recycling or family traumas and stuff like that. They're just recycling those generational curses. You just sending their child back out to just struggle just as much as you did, and instead of helping them.
Definitely a very complex situation, but again, I'm not a fan of necessarily that being the case, especially when we identified let's be honest, our white counterparts or whatever other culture you want to look at, they don't necessarily do that. I don't like to generalize all, but a good majority of them, 25, 30, 25, 26, 27, let them get through college, build their nice little career, and then they're off to the races. So, at the end of the day, if there's statistics that support that formula works, why are we trying to debunk it and go against it? And obviously there's a ton of different factors that go into it, single parent home, multiple kids, things of that nature. Bad kids. There's a lot that goes into it. But honestly, I feel like if we can get more of the parents in the same education workshop that I just did for them is easily translatable to a full-grown adult, because at the end of the day, me having my background in banking has afforded me to know the conversations that I have with 10-year-olds to 50-year-olds, they're not that much different. You think a full-grown adult knows more than, I promise you they don't. Not all of them. Because, again, our society is based on who is actually... What makes a successful person different from someone who isn't is the level of work ethic and discipline that they're going to put into trying to learn something. So how many of our parents and generations before us actually devote... And there's a lot of different factors. It's a very complex situation. But how many of them have divulged into being financial literate? And many haven't, or they didn't have, for whatever reason, they didn't have opportunity to do so.
They didn't have the information.
So it's like, if we can reach those parents before their kids are of 18 age, maybe we can sway them. You know what, son, you can stay another extra 2, 3, 4 years till you get out of college. Now, if you got kids that just out here running the streets and ain't doing nothing with their life, a lot of times that's a different factor. Mm-hmm. But if there's ones that are really trying to do something with school or going to trade schools, because again, there's a lot of us who weren't exposed to different trades or things that we can get in to make money. We were only taught college or nothing else. Mm-hmm. And now we're getting out of that climate where people are feeling like college is the it factor. It's really about, you know what, if you want to get into tech, yeah, you might need a college degree to be able to elevate your income, but you don't necessarily need that to be successful. Or being a social media influencer. I don't care what they want to do. If they're able to do so and make money, as the black culture, we should be trying to hold on to our kids in the household so that way we are helping them elevate. Now, let's keep it a buck. I still got rules. So as long as the child can abide by the rules that you got for the household, let's try to hold on to them as long as we can. But at the end of the day, they do become of age and then they start feeling like they could do whatever, then that's another conversation.
You got some parents that's like, you know what I mean? Like, man, I'm in the hole. You know what I mean? So, like, I can't really afford to take you on or I appreciate the knowledge that you're giving me. Right. You know what I mean? But like I can't really apply that to my life because I'm so far down the rabbit hole or the debt I done created, the snowball of everything that I did. So what can and I think that's an excellent idea. Like we teach to the kids, but you also want to teach to the parents too. What are some tips you can give to parents in order to get out that generational curse, like Kate said before?
So a lot of times, myself or other financial advisors, they'll meet with you on a free basis. Because how can you get out of a hole if you don't even figure out how big of the hole you've dug for yourself? And how many of us can really, and again, this isn't me speaking from, think or hope or thought. It's personal experience where I've dealt with people they know they got a bad credit score. I'm like, that's not really telling me anything. Let's look and see how bad it is, why I got that bad. Like, you can deep dive, and that doesn't cost you anything to do. But it's the other excuses that we make. Oh, I got to work. I got to do this. Yeah, all that may be true. But also, at what point is enough? If you really want to get out of this hole, you need to make time. You prioritize what you want to make time for. So if you really want to focus on building your credit and, improving your financial situation, there are organizations that are in existence to make sure that you can come to them free and be able to do it. And again, that's kind of why I enjoy my platform and being on platforms like that, because my goal is to share the resources that exist so that way it doesn't cost you more, but you can actually start having realistic conversations about getting out of that hole. Because at the end, I can't want you to be out of a hole that you don't want to be out of. And really, when I'm talking to people, that's really how as transparent as I can be, because a lot of times you'll deal with people, all bankers aren't created equal, all financial institutions aren't created equal. Sometimes you have to be able to assist, or you have to be able to evaluate who is authentically giving you the real, or are they pushing an agenda? Like, for example, there are people who I come in and they deal with me when I was doing loans. And I would literally, based on a few conversations or sentences that gave me, I could tell that, you know what, you might not be in the best position to do or take on this loan right now. But legally, I can't tell them that. So therefore, I would just be like, you know what, let's have another conversation. Let's really look at what your situation looks like. And then if you still want to do the loan, great. But I'm taking that extra 2 to 3 minutes to have a full transparent conversation with you. And then if you didn't want to proceed, great. Other people who just have an agenda and see you as a dollar sign, they probably wouldn't do that. They're just like, oh, you want to do a loan? Great. Oh, you want to borrow $10,000? Meanwhile, based on things that you've disclosed and told them, they already know you're not in the best position to probably get approved for this. But yet, because they want to meet their goals and their expectations that they need to be successful, they just going to do it anyway.
Use you as a pawn.
And if you can't decipher who's genuine and who just wants to see you at, that's where you get tripped up.
That's crazy. So yeah, I got a question. So you basically gave us a couple of strategies to paying off debt, right?
Yeah.
All in that answer right there, right? So what are some principles to sustaining wealth, for a long time, over a long-term period, after you've gotten out of that debt? Like, what should they be doing?
So, and again, this is something that I continue to this day to focus on. I would say understand the laws as far as taxes. Most of us, when we're trying to accumulate our wealth, again, I own a home, I own a few other assets, I got some insurance policies, things of that nature. As I continue to get and gain more, you need to understand, and again, a lot of this you'll find on your social media platforms, people talking about, obtaining your wealth. And once you obtain your wealth, the goal is to try to minimize the level of taxes that are going to be implicated to the wealth that you've accumulated, whether it's through capital gain tax, things of that nature. So I would say that's the first thing that you should continue to educate yourself on, is just what that looks like once you actually make money. Because at the end of the day, at the end of the year, we're all responsible for, reporting what we've built or gained for that year. So if you can find ways to make sure the tax implications are not as heavily penalized, you're winning. And then to go along with that is, a lot of times there are so many different strategies and concepts you can execute if you just do research. Right. And a lot of times in the Black community, I realize that we just don't have time. we got 3 to 4 kids, or we say we don't have time. We got 3 to 4 kids. We got a husband, a wife. We doing, you know what I mean? We're doing a lot of different things. So what I mean by that is there might be a financial institution that is offering a 0% interest card for a year, 2 years, and you have $10,000 in at 32% interest. If you just know that you still have a good debt to income ratio, your credit score is decent, if you just took time to be able to utilize that strategy of, you know what, I'm going to go see what other products this institution's offering, because now I can do a quick transfer balance, and now I have 2 years to pay off that $10,000 at a 0% interest. And these are just little things that you can start to implement if we can get out of our own way of saying, oh, I can't do this, I can't, like, if you identify, you know what, dang, my Capital One bill is a little too high, that interest rate's a little too high, and these are strategies I've implemented myself, but I took the time to understand what other financial products are out there. And because there's so many different financial institutions, you got the ones that are physical and then you got the ones online. It's just like, and that's why I'm a little excited about the little TikToker people who be like, oh, this is the best bank in America. Because it opens my eyes of, oh, let me check them out, do my own research. I'm not necessarily caring about what they're saying. I'm more or less, oh, they say Ally does this, Navy Federal does this. Now I can go do my own research. So I bring all that to say, to get back to your main question, is there's so many concepts and strategies out there, and a lot of it's through social media, but what we fall short is we take that as gospel and we just run with what they posted on social media.
Think it's gold.
And think it's gold. Instead of, like, I'll listen to, and I do it too on TikTok, I'll be like, oh, they said these 3 banks are the best bank in America. Well, let me see if there's validity to what they're saying. And then I'll go research what they said, and then if it makes sense to my financial situation, maybe I will look into it. But it's not me listening to the TikTok and then be like, oh, you know what? They're right.
I'm going to do that.
I'm going to do that too, yeah.
That's what we see a lot, though. You know what I'm saying? People will see something and then literally just start spewing on it, telling everybody what's going on, and you didn't even do your research, and they could be just telling you bold-faced lies.
Right.
Yeah, I will say about that, everybody got a bank account, right? Yeah. Learn what your bank offers.
Yes.
Like, that's step one. You know what I'm saying? You banking with Chase, Bank of America, Citizens, whoever.
Yep.
Learn what they offer you, because a lot of these services too are free, but we don't inquire about it. You know what I mean? You may have some money in your account where you only need a checkings account. You know what I mean? Yep. Or you may have a couple dollars in savings, and they may have and you got something saved up. You got like 10, 20K saved up, and they giving special promotions for people holding on to, you know, lump sum of cash over a couple months. If your money's just sitting there, you know, make some money off of it. You may want to put your money in high yield saving accounts. You know what I mean? But you got to go to these institutions.
And I do you one better. I would say, really, if you don't know the name of the person who opened your account, whether it's a business or personal, you did yourself a disservice. Because at the end of the day, a bank,
me, bro. Well, I know you, but like I got another bank.
And I mean, and honestly, I'm very legit, because people ask me, I get this question all the time: what's better, banks or credit unions? I say wherever you have the most authentic and real relationship is the best. They all have pros and cons. There's no perfect institution. But what I would say is that relationship you build with that individual, because a lot of times we see the name on the building and we say, oh, they got me, or they're... No, it's the individual who serviced you is who you really should be building that relationship with. At the end of the day, the CEO, the CFO, those people, you don't have direct access to like that.
No, you don't.
And so therefore, the people who are the tellers, the branch managers, whatever their position are, those are the people who are the representation of the company. So when I say build a genuine relationship, I'm saying I got a guy, I grabbed their business card, and the same way they want to know so much information about you, they need your social, they need your birthday, they need your photo ID, they need everything. It is nothing wrong with saying, you know what, you know so much about me, tell me a little bit about yourself. And if they can't do it or unwilling to do it,
yeah, that's a relationship you probably should,
Clip it.
Because I promise you, there's someone at another institution who will. Hey, you know what? My name is John. I work. I got 3 kids. Me and my kids left soccer. We go around on the weekends and they're in soccer camp. And you know, I'm a huge fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, small talk. they're trained to small talk with you anyway. So why can't they reciprocate that to you? And what it does is it builds that level of rapport. And I'll give you an example. Let's say I get hacked for $10,000 out of my account. Instead of them having to go to the regular procedure of catching it or fraud, a good banker will be able to say, hey, you know what? Hey, John, I just saw something weird on your account. Was this you? And because I know you normally don't spend money like this. And they're trained to make sure that they're evaluating that level of activity. I promise you they do this, or they have a back office person that do this. So we just thought this was weird because before we let this transfer or something go through, we want to make sure that this is you or it's not you. And then you can say, you know what? Let's say your name is Dave. Dave, you know what? No, I didn't do that. Can you look into that for me? So now you don't have to go through the rigmarole of dealing with somebody in the back office for 50, 60 customers in front of you. They have that one-on-one relationship with you. Now they can, keep an eye on your accounts and they can stop things from happening. And a lot of times in our community, we're so fearful that that person in front of us is so high and mighty because of their position. I didn't care if they had $1 billion or $2. When they came in front of me as a banker, I treated everybody the same, and I made sure if they were genuinely treating me right, it was getting reciprocated back. And so that's what I would like to see more of our people do, is the same way these institutions vet you, vet them back. Right. And if they're unwilling to do so, sayonara. Sayonara. There's another institution that will.
That's funny.
I think and to that point though too, I think certain banks only care about the business that you're bringing them.
Yeah.
So the more money you put in, you know what I mean, then that's when they start watching your account. You know what I'm saying? And when you got talking about just, a couple hundred, or you just got your regular deposit going in there, and you're not talking to them, or you're not trying to make an investment, it's like, they don't really care what's happening to your account. You know what I mean? Absolutely. But like you said, once you build that relationship, and you're trying to actually make some moves, some wealth moves, like the conversation is completely different. Very. It's fucking my bad. My bank called me twice this week. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, hey, I gotta chill. My financial advisor called me this morning. I'm like, yo, bro, just send me the paperwork, bro. I don't even care. We just spoke about this shit 3 times already. You know what I mean? I get it. You got to do it, but I get it. Stop calling me.
Oh, yeah.
But that's love, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's definitely love, but that was me just venting just now. Bro, you told me this 3 times this week. So don't tell me what you're about. Just do it. Give me the paperwork type of thing. So, absolutely. But yeah, relationships are very big in banking, in any aspect of life.
Especially if you got a business. I tell people all the time. I got a notary business. Recently, we got a restaurant coming.
Yo, I need you to sign off on something for me. I swear to God. Yeah,
this
please
is on
culture content. This is on culture content. Yeah, don't let me forget before I leave.
I got you.
I need that. Okay. Do you have it with you?
Yeah. Let me double check. All right. I'm pretty sure I do.
Cool. But yeah, that was a real life moment.
I don't care. Hey, business is real.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, so especially I tell this to all my business customers. I'm like, look, if you have a business, the person in front of you is a patron. They buy. If you sell soaps, if you have a cleaning business, if you sell food, they 9 times out of 10 consume the things you're selling. Why not make a pitch? Hey, you know what? When you get a chance, come check out. I'm vending at this local park. If you and the wife and kids ain't doing anything, come check me out. Here's my card or flyer. If you don't do that, I would reevaluate why you have it. Because if all they're doing is holding your money, I promise you, if you don't have enough money to where it's not FDIC assured, a wall safe can do that. Their job is to not only keep your money, protect it, but also figure out ways to help you make more and leverage your money for whatever else you may need. So, like he was saying, they just look at you depending on what type of financial relationship you're bringing to so treat them the same way. And I'll be honest, I recently just experienced that with one of my financial institutions. I ain't never had no fees on this account, but over a 10-day period, I got over about 111 fees.
111?
$111 in fees.
Oh, I'm about to say
Guess how much I got back? All of it.
111.
Mind you, the assistant manager, I never knew her from a can of paint, but I knew the verbiage, I knew the lingo, and I knew exactly what to say to get what I want. And that's no lie. So,
so we're going to pivot a little bit. So we spoke about budgeting and stuff like that. So some statistics. It says 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 56% of Americans they can't be able to afford $1,000 emergency if it was to happen right then and there. So with that being said, how important is it for someone, and how should they go about creating some type of emergency fund?
Stop celebrating failures. Okay, I had to get that off my chest. My bad. Go ahead.
I mean, unfortunately, we live in a world where many of us will not heed warnings until we live it.
Mm.
And
like you heard, like hold on, you heard that call squilling, bro.
Right.
You heard that squilling.
I can make it home. I can make it home. And I say that because
niggas work 3 times.
Yeah.
8 weeks, and they're like, yo, hold up, bro. Like, yeah. All right.
Yeah. No, because I say that because I just had a workshop on Wednesday, which was yesterday, where we had someone who looks like us, a black lawyer, who was teaching us about wills, trusts, and POAs. Mm-hmm. So
and can you explain what POA is?
Power of attorney, I'm sorry. Yeah. And I say that because it's so vital, but unfortunately we did not have the turnout that we were looking for. Maybe 5 tops. Mm-hmm. But yet, when crisis happened in our families, there's no will, there's no power of attorney when somebody's on their deathbed, and then there's no trust to keep stuff out of probate. So I say all that to say, to get back to your original question, we, for whatever reason, want to be hard-headed and not we use the term lives, but we don't put in the precautions to make sure that if lives, that we have a countermeasure for whatever happens. We know things are going to happen, but we refuse to be intentional about having countermeasures. So when you say $1,000 financial problem happens, which could be a car, transmission goes, you have to rob Peter to pay Paul. You got to hit up mom and dad. Hey, can I borrow $500 for a month until I get paid X, Y, and Z? Why not be intentional? And that's where you hear about the 50, what is it? 50, 40, 10 rule. There's so many different 50, 20, 10, whatever, 50, 30, 20. I'm saying but it doesn't really matter. Be intentional about the emergency fund. For me, I'll use myself as an example because I'm very transparent with those who know me. I'm starting to pour more money into our policies, me and my wife's. So we have a whole life policy, about $100,000. Now, granted, I'm not using that as my sole emergency fund, but over the next 10, 15 years, say I have a huge emergency with my house or something like that. That's intentional money that I'm already putting towards in my policy that I can be able to pull. Now, we do have a regular emergency fund with one of our credit unions where we just put a couple dollars in there every so often. So that way, it's to the point where I really don't even know how much is in there. But we are intentional about doing these things because, again, we are just putting in safety measures to protect ourselves. So that way I will never have to go call a family member and say, hey, this happened, can you do this and that? Mm-hmm. I don't ever want to have to post a GoFundMe for anything pertaining to me and my wife. So,
can we get away from the GoFundMes, please? Especially, I don't mean to cut you off, man, but this is really this irritates me. Like, people are so caught up with living in the moment, but then, God forbid, you lose a relative and you can't pay for a funeral service, or you can't pay, like you said, when your car gets damaged, or when you get a hole in your roof or something crazy because a crazy storm happens. Like, people, y'all need to stop living for right now and then set up. You can live for right now, but if you don't got a long-term, play in mind, cut it out, yo. Like, you just wasting time going in circles for real. But, yeah, my bad.
You're right.
It's a waste of time. Like, what are we doing?
And honestly, I spent a lot of my thinking power on trying to figure out ways, or not even ways to change it, but to things that I can say to help someone jog their thinking a little bit better than what they have. Mm-hmm. So if your median income is about $50,000 a year,
which the average median income for the United States is like 56,
right? So you're basically living above, you're living below, the means to actually live a comfortable lifestyle. So I always try to educate people every year, evaluate how much you made for that year. If you're a good abiding citizen, you're doing your taxes. So that number should be easy to compute. Because I know for me, the goal is always to make more than I made the previous year. Now, if you can do that, now you start getting into, now I understand. Because I really think in our culture, the issue is we don't really understand the significance of the numbers that we actually need to know. So the statistics you gave are so pivotal, but if we as each individual household can start saying, okay, our household brings in $59,000 a year. Where did a lot of that money actually go to? And that's why, again, it translates back to budgeting. If you can say, dang, we spent about 10% of our house income or 20-30% of our house income eating out. Or we spent X amount
on entertainment.
Like, you can move differently, but because as a household, I don't see a lot of people doing that, then it's hard to get away from living in the now because all you're thinking, and a lot of people's financial situation changes every 6 months. So that's why when I do my workshops, budgeting is where we start, because if you understand the numbers and you understand how much you actually, from a breakdown perspective, do with your spending, cutting out, like for me, I'll use this example all the time. Avid coffee drinker, at least once a day. When I started seeing that I'm up to $200-$300 in coffee purchases a month,
it goes crazy.
Oh, I got to make a change.
Cutting that right in half.
Got the Keurig, used the little K-cups, and it's an example that I use because we all have our vices. The people who love Chick-fil-A, how many times you go there a month? Like, it doesn't really matter what it is.
Their guns,
it doesn't matter what you're...
Whatever situation.
Like, if you can be truly honest about yourself and where your money's going, that can give you a different way to move, and then start seeing sometimes you spend a lot on your vice, and that's a car payment. Or that covers the mortgage. So...
And stop going out and getting them cars y'all can't afford either. You know what I mean? That's just putting y'all further and further back. Like, I don't got no problems with people getting their dream car, but not when you talking about your car note and car insurance is $1,500 a month.
Right.
Like, that just sound bonkers.
Wild
you know what I'm
behavior.
saying? Like, make the numbers, like TC said, make sense, bro. Like, people just think, oh yeah, I'm gonna just throw this money away.
And if you refuse to have a financial advisor, then just be more strategic about how you're going to spend. Like, for me, I'm not about to go, like, I want a spider bike. Both my brothers, I want one of those.
You got the license?
I don't, but...
They got a class this weekend at CCAC.
See?
It was just that CCAC.
I was just there. So, and I say that because until I have a solidified, steady income with one of my businesses or something else I'm doing, I'm not going to go just get and purchase a spider bike because I'm not living within my means to where I'm taking from my household or I'm taking from something else. So I would say if you're going to get the luxury cars, make sure you've done, or a boat, whatever, make sure you've done enough in your life to where that you've actually added income to your life to offset the new expenditure you just added to your life. And that's just simple. I mean, you don't even need a financial advisor to tell you that, but if you refuse to go to get one, look at life that way.
Yeah, at least the financial can give you some parameters of, what areas that you can work within. You know what I mean? But just because you can't afford it right now don't mean you can't afford it ever.
Right.
It's just back to what TC was saying. What's your financial goals? What's your financial plan? You know what I mean? And then whatever that plan is, leverage that plan or your businesses or your assets to then pay for your boat, your dream car, your AMG, Ferrari, whatever you want to get. You know what I mean? But if you're talking about one stream of income, you ain't gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? So
nah, this economy,
not at all. So yeah, that was a great conversation. We could talk about this for hours. I gotta cut you off, bro.
Yeah, hey.
We be here. I say that respectfully. You know what I mean? And humbly. Because, like, we got into a lot of details, a lot of information, and like we said before, this shit ain't sexy, you know what I mean? But, it's needed, and we glad that, everyone that tuned in listened, and we hope that y'all actually were able to pull something, or we enlightened you to start budgeting.
Something.
And
at minimum,
and honestly, that's why my podcast is called Financial Living with TC, because it's going to last forever. Finances ain't going nowhere. Laws can change, politicians can change, COVID can happen.
Yeah.
So much stuff can happen where it alters what finances looks like. So, I'm going to be around for a while.
So any other last thoughts, books, recommendations, anything that's on your mind, make sure you shout out your podcast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you want to get at me, Financial Literacy with TC on all platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Culture Content. Financial Literacy, hit that subscribe button, tap in with me. Also, Notary Needs, tcnotaryllc.net. You can get at me. And then I'm 412-439-1441. Drop me a text because I'll be able to get at you and we can have some conversations about how I can help you and if you want to be a guest on the show. But my last thoughts and things that I want to share is, honestly, when you're talking about money, and I always bring this up in my workshops, think about the 3 most successful people who you would say, oh, if I could have their financial situation, I would switch it. I don't care who it is. And if you are not in their circle or they're not a mentor, you need to ask, or if it's somebody who, is within your reach, you need to ask, can they, be in your circle so you can have conversations with it? Because this is what I do. I like to have people in my circle who have way more knowledge than me, way more money than me. And it's not even that I don't read the books or I don't do this and I don't do that. It's really about they can show me better than they can teach me from the standpoint of they're living it. And that way now I can ask questions and then instead of them teaching me, I can basically emulate what I've heard or seen because there's little tips and tricks and nuggets that they can give you that they might not be able to articulate by trying to, put in a book or teach, from that standpoint. But if you're able to really befriend them and have them be a mentor and they're willing to do that, I always ask people, well, who are the closest people in your life that you talk about money with? I have a financial advisor, and then also about 3 or 4 friends who are at a level that I aspire to be at, and I don't pay them, but they give me knowledge and information that helps me along the journey. So I say all that to say, if your closest people that you talk about money with is just your brother, your mom, your dad, your sister, uncle, and cousin, and they're not in a financial situation that you would gladly switch with them, you might need to reevaluate why, not to say that you can't talk to them about money, but reevaluate the 3 closest people with you who have the financial success and start looking for others who you would gladly switch positions with if you could. And, put them in your circle and, I promise you'll see yourself level up just by being in their proximity. So.
Right. Get a mentor and build your team, build financial coaches in your life, what I mean? I read something too, just to add on to what you were saying. Some of the richest people have board members for their life. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, if I'm the entity, like I gotta be able to be able to talk to other people who can let me know or at least advise, is this a good move to make, you know what I mean? Absolutely. Or is it not? And regardless of what they say, you're still going to do whatever you're going to do, but at the same time, at least you were able to receive that information and weigh the pros and cons to say, all right, this is the next move or this isn't. Or you're just tweaking something to make the plan even better. So, seek mentors, seek financial advisors, seek, how you call it, just good people. What do you say? Fellowships. Yeah, seek
fellowship with good brothers.
With good brothers and stuff
like
that.
And that's like-minded individuals.
At the end of the day. For sure. So you're just going to say your name when we close this out, all right? You just got to be ready. All right. You ready? I'm ready. All right, say that. All right. I'm Kay.
I'm Chaz.
And this is our special guest. You already know. We're the Culture Content, baby.
Hey,
and in the bag. Bow. You know what I'm saying? We off that. And we got through it. We sweating. We hot. Yeah, we hot. We're going to go back inside in the AC because this is crazy. This is nasty.